This video is for every landlord and tenants out there. So in one way or the other, here in Nigeria, you're either a landlord or a tenant. You can't escape from it. And you agree with me that voila, today this landlord and tenant issue for Nigeria, particularly the recent hike in prices. So in this video, I'm going to be pointing out some of the problems faced by landlords and tenants. Tenants and landlords even know that they have rights and responsibilities under the law. You'll be surprised that most people do not. For instance, the tenant may not even know what a landlord can or cannot do, and a landlord may not even know what a tenant can or cannot demand. What if one day your landlord sells his house without even informing you? Does your rent expire with the house? Or is there any legal remedy that is available for you as a tenant? Landlords, what if your tenant is into something illegal? Probably your tenant is using your apartment to promote illegal businesses, such as maybe you have a HK for internet fraudsters, or probably he's using your apartment to keep proceeds of kidnapping, or maybe he's using your apartment to keep people he has kidnapped, or maybe he's using your apartment to produce fake substances or drugs. In this instance, what should you do? Should you report to the authorities? Failure to report to the authorities, does it mean that the government will seal up your property? This will not be small issue. If you experience such criminality, you need to know what to do before things get out of hand. Who should even pay for these tenancy agreements? Is it the landlord or the tenants? Is it right for your landlord to increase the rent whenever he feels like? Especially with the cost of things these days. Are there any limits to how much or how often he can increase it? Now, landlords, how do you find a responsible tenant who won't ghost you when their rent is due? I know some of you just they pray, make good tenants cross your path, but there are some steps you should take to attract responsible tenants. There are things you need to do to get responsible tenants. So, oga landlord, you gave your tenants 6 month notice to quit, and even after 9 months, they are still there in the apartment telling you that you can't do anything. So, landlord, what should you do in this regard? What are the next steps you should take? Is it even okay for a landlord to increase the rent every year, or are there any rules or steps that the landlord should follow? When is the best time to even serve a notice to quit to a tenant who you want to leave your apartment? Is it after his rent has expired or before his rent expires? And let's talk about eviction. Can your landlord just wake up one morning and then throws off your property out of his house? Or even wakes up one morning, remove your roof or remove your doors or padlock your door merely because you've not been able to pay rent for quite some time? Is it even legal? You are ready to pay your rent, you have the money in full, both in cash and respect to transfer, but your landlord has refused to collect any money from you. He wants you out of the apartment. What should you do? Are there any options available for you as a tenant who wants to retain the property? If your landlord meets you and tells you, oh yeah, pack your things and go, I don't want you anymore, does that mean it's a sufficient notice to quit? Or does the notice to quit have to be in written form, duly signed, sealed, and delivered to make it official? What if something both inside or outside your house need fixing or need repairs? Who is to make these repairs? Is it the landlord or the tenants? This particular one is for tenants who like renovating or carrying out improvements on their apartments. Before a tenant carries out improvements on apartments, does he need the consent of the landlord? And if he does, would the landlord reimburse the tenant for making the apartment look better? Peradventure, the tenant wants to evict or leave the apartment. For tenants who like tushing their apartments to their own taste, before you start to tush your apartment to your own taste, carrying out improvements, what do you need to do as a tenant? Do you need to inform your landlord, or do you just go about doing it structural adjustments without the consent of the landlord? Answers to all these questions are contained in my ebook titled Clear Road: End Naija Tenant and Landlord Wahala. Know your right and stay protected. So I was able to clearly explain all these things and even more in this ebook. Now, this ebook will save you from constant troubles pertaining to landlord and tenant issues. It will save you from the stress of going to court. See, let me tell you, litigation can be very expensive. It can cost you millions of naira. Just a single mistake. That time you should have expended in something profitable. You now start using it to go to court, to appear before the court. Sometimes it can be monthly, it can be weekly. And this can even take years for the case to come to an end. Imagine the amount of money you are going to spend. So prevention, they say, is better than cure. All right. So knowing your rights and obligations as either a landlord or a tenant would save you from all these legal pitfalls and unnecessary spending on litigation. Don't risk wasting millions on endless court battles or legal fees that can take years to come to an end when you can get this ebook for a minute fee of 5,000 naira. So what are the bonuses you will get when you buy this ebook? Now, one of them is that you are going to get a 15 minutes free consultation with me on any topic relating to landlord and tenant issues here in Nigeria. Number two, you are going to get sample documents and sample drafts of agreement and letters. See, you need this agreement and letters if you want to navigate successfully these landlord and tenant issues in Nigeria. For instance, you need a tenancy agreement between yourself as a landlord and that of a tenant. Now, you need a tenancy agreement, okay? You need a power of attorney if you have someone that is managing your property for you. Maybe you appointed an agent to manage your property for you. You need a power of attorney. You need a letter of authority if you have an agent managing your property for you. And when you want to increase your rent, you need a notice of rent increase. These are all contained in this book. If you want to evict your tenants from the apartment, you need a notice to quit, also contained in this book. You equally need a 7 days notice of owner's intention to recover possession, also contained in this book, and so many other samples of letters and agreement duly contained in this book. And these things cost hundreds of thousands of naira, if not millions, to prepare for you by a legal practitioner. All right. So, but you are getting just 5,000 naira. All this will be yours. To download this ebook, all you have to do is to simply click on the link somewhere on this video to redirect you to a website where you can order or get the book, or you can simply chat me on WhatsApp via the number on your screen.